Episode 100 is here with a very special co-host this week on Happy Hour. Welcome back to Happy Hour, our podcast for young adults here at the Cathedral of the Most Sacred Heart of Jesus. I'm Rick.
I'm Holly.
And I'm Janet.
Whoa! Yay! That just happened.
Welcome.
That was a thing
Yes.
on episode 100. That's crazy. We've done 100.
We've done 100. I said that we should call this like the centennial.
Yes.
Or something like that, like something fancy.
What's a sesquicentennial? Do you know?
Oh, what?
Have you ever heard that term?
No.
Sesquicentennial? I feel like I need
Sounds
to...
like it's like a 7 and 100. That's what it sounded like to me, at least.
I don't know. It's... I don't know. I'll have to look it up. What's a sesquicentennial? I'm just asking artificial intelligence at this time because... Oh.
Sesquicentennial, relating to the 150th anniversary of a significant event.
There it is. So now we know. It is a term. You both looked at me like I was speaking in tongues.
Like it's gibberish.
Yes, but I knew it was a term. I just didn't know what it meant, which is probably the majority of my vocabulary. I know their words. I don't know how to use them properly.
Oh, I'm the same way.
Are you?
Same way. Yeah, I remember some words from English class. I don't know about you too, Janet. But I remember some words and then I want to use them and like sound smart and then it kind of backfires because I usually use it in the wrong way. My mom always is like, Holly, what are you doing?
My mom, who was a senior English and AP English teacher for like 40 years, definitely knew I was using them improperly.
Oh.
Yeah.
You see, that's kind of funny because what happens to me is like with words that just sound similar to another word, I mix them up. Like one time I was like saying like, oh, I can't fathom. I was trying to sing fathom, but I said phantom.
Oh.
So, yeah, I was like, I can't phantom that. And my friend called me out. She's like, do you mean fathom? I was like, oh, yes.
Shout out to Danny Phantom. There's a callback for you. Did you ever watch that show?
Yes.
Yeah, that was you're kind of
2005,
growing
yeah.
up.
Yeah. I didn't watch it, but yeah.
You knew about it though,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, you weren't allowed to watch TV, I think, right?
Yeah, I was sheltered. I
Yeah.
was under a rock.
I just learned about TV. So, Janet, this is your first episode,
Yeah.
and not just your first episode of Happy Hour, but I do believe this is your first podcast ever. Is that correct?
Yes, it is my first podcast ever.
Wow.
I mean, like I was on radio for a bit, but this is like much more different.
Yeah.
So
And you had, was it Janet's Jams? What was it?
yeah,
What was it called?
Janet Jams, Country Jams with Janet is what it was called.
Was it music or was it
Yeah,
a
it was
discussion about music? Okay.
No, it's a country music like station. It was like the Country Hour, and
Nice.
I got to host it for a summer. So that was fun. So like I'm used to like having my voice on like kind of like the similar like what's happening right now.
Got it.
Yeah.
Did you choose the genre or there were no other options and you were left with that one?
Well, no. Well, okay. I know you're not a fan of country, Rick. I know that's what you're trying to get at. But no, I love country music. And I just happened to be with a group of friends who one of them was like the intern and she was trying to find people to get, to do different like types of stations. And I was just so passionate about country music. She's like, actually, we need someone and you would be doing me a huge favor if you did this for me. So I just did it all summer long.
Wow.
Like just hosted a country radio show. And I got to find like a lot of like really cool country bands and like not so known like country artists that are now pretty famous. So I like to think that I made them famous.
Yeah, you discovered them.
Yeah.
That's how that works. I too worked in radio during my college years, but I did the Christian music genre.
Oh.
Yes, and it was really loose back then, so I could play any style that I wanted to, which was quite the range, trust me. Everything from screamo to
Screamo.
contemporary, but I would never play a country Christian song ever.
Wait, screamo?
Yeah.
Christian music?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, stop it.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. That's out there. I'd like to say I found them and made them famous too. Yeah. So
Janet,
that's what we're going to do.
Did you have the opportunity? So you had the opportunity to choose the songs that were airing too.
Yeah, I did.
Okay. How was your, like, did you have a process that you were given for that? Or were you also like Rick, like, okay, I got the freedom to do what I want here?
Well, okay, that's a really great question because I actually would get in trouble a lot.
Oh, okay. She's off script.
Yeah, I was a little bit of a rebel. So what happened, like they didn't really give me instructions in the beginning. So I was just like playing some like mainstream country artists, which we weren't allowed to do because we wanted to like, give a voice and give a platform for like unknown country artists. So I would get in trouble, and then like the other interns would come in and be like, you can't be playing that song. And I was like, I'll tune it out. So from there, once I realized that I was getting in trouble, I started doing research. So I would have to deep dive on Google and just like try to find like country artists that like are not so known and like who have like singles out and who are trying to make it. And also we just had a large selection of like old CDs like in the back, and like I would just go through those and be like, okay, which artist here sounds like they would go with my vibe today. And I would have different like themes. It would be like country love or like country summer or like, I don't know, country rock.
This sounds like a nightmare to me. I'm glad it was great for you, though.
Yeah, it was a great time.
Too bad artificial intelligence wasn't around then, because you could have just asked that and it would have come up with a ton of, and saved you a lot of searching on Google. But I digress. We have it now. So Janet, now clearly, so you've done radio shows. You're a student. Maybe tell us a little bit about that. Yeah, people don't know, Janet is our Echo intern from Notre Dame University, the Notre Dame University. I think I'm supposed to say. You're here for bare minimum 2 years. We got you for 2. We snagged you for 2.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that process and what your undergrad was in, where you went to college for your undergrad.
Yeah.
A little bit more about Janet.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll tell you guys a little bit about myself. So I went to Loyola University Chicago for my undergrad, and I studied English creative writing, which was pretty crazy. I actually was originally a bio pre-med like student, but I think God called me to better things, and I switched over to English creative writing. And the funny thing is, I actually heard about Echo during that time, but I was like, I would never do my master's degree in theology. Like that just doesn't sound like the person I am. And now it's really funny. I'll come back to that in a second. But after Loyola, I actually did a year-long volunteer service program with Francis Corps in like Syracuse, New York. And I was there for a whole year. I lived in community with 7 other people in this like cute little yellow house. And I served the refugee population. So I worked at a refugee resettlement agency, and I worked with teen refugee girls. And honestly, that's like one of the best years of my life. Loved it. Loved my community. Loved Syracuse. Loved the refugee resettlement agency. And then after that, I went back home, and I actually worked at the Mundelein Seminary for a year, just like doing like front desk stuff and just like meeting and like greeting like cool Catholic people. And during that year is when I was like discerning whether or not I wanted to do Echo, because I had actually been denied from all my grad schools before coming back home, because originally I wanted to do my MFA in creative writing. If y'all know anything about MFAs in creative writing, they're hard to get into. So yeah, it was really hard. I was really sad.
What if we don't know what MFA stands for?
Master in Fine Arts.
I was asking that
like,
for all the other people that didn't know.
also
Clearly,
like, what does that mean?
Clearly Rick knew, but he was just
Clearly.
like looking out for y'all. Yeah, MFA stands for Masters in Fine Arts
Nice.
in Creative Writing. And yeah, didn't get in. So I was like, well, God, what does this mean? So, I like sat with it for a while, and I was like still really holding on to trust. I was like, I still feel like you're not finished yet. Like there just has to be something more. And I thought back to like my undergrad years, and I was like, someone had told me about Echo. And in my head during that time, I laughed because I was like, I would never do that. But now here I am thinking about it. And I'm like, why have I pushed that out of my mind? Like, that sounds exactly like the person that I am. That sounds exactly like something I
That's
would
like
do.
my wife. She always said she'd never drive a minivan. And yet,
She drives a 12
not only
passenger
that, she moved from the minivan to a 12-passenger van. So it's funny when we kind of make those decisions early.
Yeah, for sure. Because like, I was like, I would never do this. And now here I am. And now I like laugh at that. I'm just like, why did I like push that aside? Like, why did I think that I would never do this? I clearly would do this. So yeah, I just discerned like when I was working at the seminary, I was like, I still feel called to go back to school. And I just like really thought about like, the the ECHO program, and I had already been in contact with someone from the ECHO program, and you know, he answered a lot of my questions and just gave me really great feedback and was just like, you know, just pray with it. And I was originally going to wait like a whole nother year. So I was going to be applying like right now this fall. I was going to wait a whole year for no reason. Like literally, I don't think there was any really good reason.
Procrastination.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That's a North American thing. Don't worry.
Yeah. Well, actually, no, it was, I don't think it was procrastination. I think it was more of like, I think I should work for more and like, I don't know, like help pay off my student loans and like all these things, you know? So it was like logistical, I guess. But I was just like, why am I going to wait? And during that time, I think God was so good